Sorry, I had to laugh at the idea that Yomogi has so little going for him. His backstory flash is literally seconds before he breaks out of it. It's like, oh, stepdaddy issues, cut. That's really all he's got going for him, so he gets no backstory to him whatsoever. But no, episode 10 of SSSS DYNAZENON was absolutely jam-packed, and I am so happy about this episode. Love to jump into this episode, so let's get into it. So the episode opens up with the characters kind of pointing out that there's been kind of a period of no kaiju showing up, but knock on wood, the moment that they do that, one ends up showing up. And the Genesis ends up kind of noticing that this kaiju, and they go to do the instance domination, and when they go to do it, they start disappearing. And sure enough, the main crew as well start disappearing. Just this kaiju seems to have some kind of ability to make things disappear, and it seems like these characters are actually disappearing completely. They're leaving behind their shadow, but it seems like they're just disappearing. We're not quite sure where they're going, but as the team tries to go and stop this kaiju, pretty much every single one of them ends up being taken and disappeared. And what happens when they disappear is they actually go inside of the kaiju itself, where the kaiju manifests their past and kind of makes them relive their past. You know, maybe conveniently, but also seemingly, every single one of them seem to be at a point in which something pinnacle happened in their past. The only characters not being involved with this specifically in the main cast is Chisei and the second. They both managed to escape on the back of Goldburn. So with each of these characters, they each have kind of something that they're kind of addressing in this past. Let's kind of go down the list. With Yume, she is, of course, reliving this kind of final moments that she had with her sister. Her sister's distant at this point. She is a part of the choir. She's seeing this boy, and at some point, while even Yume's trying to kind of communicate with her, at some point she does end up inviting her to this rehearsal, and then it comes to the point in which she would have had this accident. And even though Yomogi eventually breaks into her dreams at this point, they both end up going to see if they can possibly save her sister in this world. And it turns out, based on this vision of the past, her sister didn't actually end her own life. It was apparently actually an accident. She goes to this one location pretty much on a regular basis, and this is the place where she feels like she's most comfortable to practice singing. And apparently, again, it was an accident that she eventually fell into her death. So it kind of giving Yume closure at this point. She got to finally have some, even though she was older, revisiting her sister, and the sister kind of acknowledged the fact that she's grown bigger, but she recognizes her. But they had this little brief moment of kind of realizing that her sister really did look up to her, even though she was her younger sister. She liked how Yume was able to speak her mind and communicate to people, and she kind of wanted that. She was trying to change herself to be more like her sister, and that's why she joined the choir. So it gives us a nice little closure to Yume and what she thought her sister, what happened to her sister, and realizing that it was actually an accident and that there was nothing really, nefarious happening there. Even though there was nefarious things happening, that her sister was never willing to actually do that. Her sister just unfortunately passed. And this is a little bit heartbreaking to Yume, but she at least gets this little moment to get closure by speaking to her sister, which I really did enjoy. With Koyomi, it kind of has this period of time where, this girl that he knew in the past was, saying, let's run away together with this money and spin like crazy people. And sure enough, they get on a bike and they're riding, they're having fun. And then again, Yomogi enters, and then the girl says, hey, look, it's all actually fake. It's probably fake. And so that kind of ends his little thing. It was kind of very brief, but yeah, this you had an opportunity to do this. Can you undo it? And he chose to do that. Like I said, with Yomogi, it's literally like 10 seconds, if that. So yeah, that was nothing really to that. Again, I don't really see them ever doing anything with his character. There's nothing to him but Yume. His character is really being defined as Yume, which is unfortunate, but I don't know, something could change. Let's just say that. Something could change, but currently he's just plain main character at this point. And of course, probably the bigger one, story-wise, is probably Goma. Goma jumps back to the point in which he was with the Genesis. The Genesis seemed to be the same situation. It insinuates that based on the fact that when Mujina went to initially use instant domination on the kaiju, it showed a really quick glimpse of Goma panicking in his eugenicist outfit from back 5,000 years prior. So it insinuates that they were all reliving the same period that Goma was, which is essentially this period of time when the kaiju controllers or the eugenicists, I don't know if they were called eugenicists at the time. Yeah, they were called eugenicists because they said the princess wanted to see the eugenicists. The eugenicists are coming to meet a princess of a country. The princess comes up. We cut forward later on to when essentially Goma is controlling seeming a kaiju or maybe a Dynazenon to attack the eugenicists. And the interesting thing to note was that when it showed, I think it was Onja collapse, and he says, you and I think it was Juga was saying, you betrayed us. It showed a kind of scattered and destroyed kind of Dynazenon type of figure. So it kind of insinuates that they at some point had one of these Dynazenon type things they were using. So I did find that kind of interesting, but yeah, they basically claim that he betrayed them. He said, no, you betrayed the country because you essentially attacked the country. And then they said, no, the country was going to get rid of us. They were just using us. So it's kind of that little chicken the egg aspect of, okay, who betrayed who first? But essentially it's insinuating that the country used the eugenicists to fight something. And then the country, fearing probably their power, decided they were going to destroy the eugenicists. And then the eugenicists fought the country. And then Goma destroyed the eugenicist because he loved the princess. So it is kind of back and forth. Revenge begots revenge. But that's essentially the story they're telling. And then when Yomugi appears in there as he's collapsed, he said, look, the eugenicists are 5,000 years in the future, and they're going to wipe out humanity. We need your help. Because it was insinuating this aspect that when they're in this past, they get trapped in it based on the first decision they seem to make. Because each character, when they first appear in their past, they make a step, and then their particular part of the Dynazenon breaks. So, like when Yomugi first appeared, he said, I kind of wish I said no, but then he turns around and grabs Dyna's soldier, and he doesn't break it. Whereas everybody else, they step forward in that past, and then boom, their thing breaks. So it insinuates that once they make that step, they kind of forget their future self, and then they get kind of lost in the past, and they no longer remember their future self. So, and it insinuates that when Yomugi goes into each one of these people's past and wakes them up, this breaks, and then they regain their Dynazenon parts. So, yeah. But the one that I liked the most was, of course, Night. I'm sure that people probably theorized and figured this out long before I did. I'm not as... One, I don't remember Gridman, or I don't have Gridman in my mind as fresh as it used to be, so I don't recall much stuff from it. But yeah, apparently Night is Auntie from SSSS Gridman, which was really thrilling to actually say. Yeah, technically I should have gotten that based on the gray hair, but... whatever, I don't care. It was really cute to see that. As to kind of get this reference was really amazing. So yeah, they essentially, when Night goes into his past, he is boom, Auntie, the younger self in SSS Gridman, and he's chomping down on stuff. And it doesn't really show us having him relive something or make a decision, but essentially it's just really food that he's stuck there with. And then Yomugi shows up and says, wake up, and he's like, I don't need your help, and that was it. But it was still really cool. I really did like Auntie from SSS Gridman, so really cool to see that connection there. Now I kind of like Night even more now, but yeah, that was fantastic. So yeah, a lot of really cool stuff happening in this episode that really does give a lot of perspective to a lot of things. Perspective of what happened 5,000 years prior, obviously giving some kind of context to why the eugenicists are the way they are. Obviously being betrayed by mankind, you're obviously going to be siding with the kaiju, and that drives what they're currently doing. Again, getting a lot of closure to a lot of these characters, which, technically things like Koyomi didn't really care much for. It's just really a, what if I did something different? Would I end up with a girl because I'm lonely or whatever? Obviously getting closure to Yume is finally really fantastic. Like I mentioned in the last episode, impressions, I'm kind of getting sick of this story. At least it's been dragged out far too long, so thankfully this should put closure on it. And then obviously, like I said, seeing that Anjia's knight is fantastic, and I'm wondering if they'll, touch on that in it at all anymore, if they're going to hit on the fact that he is technically a kaiju. It's definitely raised some questions there, but definitely a fantastic episode overall. Just so many great moments in it. Looked great. Great character moments. Looking forward to more. And I hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you guys did, please leave a like down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I thank you all for watching, and y'all take care.